my channel. So today I am doing a book review on A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab, or Victoria Schwab, but yeah. So I'm gonna be doing that book review. I'm super excited. Let's just get into it. I don't have much to say though. Thumbs up if you like my Daenerys Targaryen shirt because it's super cute, and instead of dragons they're like Pokemon dragons. Like, how cute is that shirt? Tell me you love it. Alright, so let's get into the book review. Alright, so first for my initial thoughts. I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. If you're interested in checking out my Goodreads, being my friend on there, I'll leave my link down below. But yes, I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. Just a overall, wow, I talk fast. Let's start with an overall summary of the book. This is a story in like a mythical, magical world where there are parallel Londons, and each of them have varying degrees of magic within the Londons, and we follow our main character. His name is Kel, and he is something called an Ontari, and they have one eye, like their natural color, and one eye is black because they're like strong magicians, and he is like one of the last few of his kind in these like dying Londons where magic, you know, is dying because things got corrupted and blah blah blah. So you have like red London, gray London, white London, and black London. And black London got cut off because magic corrupted their entire world, and so they didn't want it to spread to the other London. So then we have gray London, which no longer has magic at all, red London, which is also thriving with magic in a positive way, and then we have white London, which is kind of like this evil dark place, and magic ain't doing so well over there. Like, they have magic, but people are like fighting for it, like it's slowly fleeting and going away. So yeah, we follow Kel, and he's like one of the only few of his kind, which means he can travel the world through like each London because they sealed off the doors after everything that happened in Black London. And so he kind of doesn't have a purpose, so he like smuggles things from the different Londons, which he's not supposed to do, and he ends up smuggling something very dangerous, and it causes this whole corruption and uproar, and he has to save the day. And he meets this girl from Grey London named Delilah Bard, who's a badass bitch, and they have to save the Londons or the world or stuff like that. So that is the initial like summary of the book. I really liked the world. I thought it was a very unique magic book. Like, I've never read anything about like parallel, not even universes, but like parallel places, like parallel Londons. I just thought it was really interesting and how the author constructed this story and created this world. So it was very cool to feel the different vibes of each London and stuff like that. So I thought that was really interesting. But yeah, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It wasn't my favorite. I had a really long time getting into the story because you were switching back and forth between like a million characters, between like all these different worlds, and it was kind of too much, and you really don't understand how they connect until the end. And I thought the chapters were like super short, and they all ended with a cliffhanger, so I was like constantly unsatisfied, and I just honestly didn't feel like there was a lot of character development. Like, I didn't really connect with any of the characters besides Delilah Bard, and that wasn't until the end. But I mean, people died, bad things happened, and I just kind of didn't feel anything because it was so much that I didn't fully connect with any one London or any one person or anything. So I didn't really start to enjoy it until the end of the book where like all the action was happening. But yeah, so those are my initial like spoiler-free view thoughts. Feel free to read it and check it out if you're interested. It is a really good book. I really did love it, and I was really excited to read it because it has a lot of hype in the book community, but it definitely wasn't my favorite. And that's just my opinion. If you have a different opinion, we can feel free to discuss in the down bar. But now I'm going to move into the spoiler section. Dun dun dun. Alright, so let's get into this with all the spoilers. I can talk about whatever I want. This is my favorite part, to be honest, because I think I really suck at explaining the story without giving stuff away. So, yeah, let's get into it. I have my notebook here. I got my thoughts. I wrote them down. You guys know how this goes from the last 2 reviews, so let's just get into it. So, as I said earlier, it was really hard for me to connect with the story. Like, the scenes were so short, and it just seemed like every single person was important, which is cool, but some of them weren't that important, and it came out, like, it came across like they were more important than they actually were. Like, it was always a cliffhanger, like, oh, this one guard that Kel killed, it wasn't just ending with him killing, like, oh no, now he's spreading black magic through everywhere, or I don't know, I just felt like every single chapter ended with the cliffhanger and you never got the full story. Like, you had to wait like 4 chapters later to get back to them and figure out what happened, and it was just like such a mind fuck. Sorry that I had to say that word if there are younger viewers, but it was just so crazy to me. Like, I was so confused in the beginning, and then as I started to notice the pattern, I was just annoyed by the pattern of the writing. I was just like, let's have a full chapter with everything. I don't know. I love cliffhangers. I love, you know, alluding to things further in the story. I love foreshadowing, but I just felt like it was so much that I was constantly in a state of anxiety reading this book. And then it was anxiety. It wasn't even good anxiety, not like I care so much about the characters and I need to know what happens. It was just like I was getting no answers because, again, everything was so short and there wasn't a lot of detail about the characters. I just wasn't falling in love with them or the people the way I normally do in a book. Yeah, I thought the most interesting characters were the bad guys, basically the twin King and Queen of White London. I thought Astrid and Athos, Dane, were like super cool in like the interesting way, like just because they were so evil. Like, I understand White London was very corrupt and a lot of people were evil and mean, but I just really wanted to know their backstory and why they were like so wicked and angry and like what happened to them as children. Like, they kind of talked about their backstory, but barely enough to keep me satisfied. So I was just very, very interested in like what they were about, like what happened to them as children. I don't know. They were really interesting characters to me, and then they just died and we never got to really find out their full motivations, I guess, behind what they did. Because basically, you know, when you have a villain in a story, like, you always learn their backstory, you know, what made them this way. So I just kept looking for that and you never get that. So wasn't a fan of that as well. I also thought Kel was super mysterious. Hopefully in A Gathering of Shadows we'll get to know his history. You know, he talked about having the mark on him that took away his memory before he came to live in Red London with the royal family. I want to know about his family, and I just thought he was a really interesting character. I mean, obviously he's our main character, but the thing is, he wasn't our most interesting character, which I found weird and quirky about this book, but also pretty cool in a way. Most of the time, your main character is the character you're most invested in. They're the most complex. They have the most interesting story. But honestly, that wasn't our main character, Kel. It was Delilah. I am so fascinated about her, and she's an Antari. Like, it wasn't the black magic that was helping her pass through, you know, all the worlds. And then when you find out about her glass eye, like, I suspected it from the beginning. Like, as soon as the black magic, or we thought the black magic let her pass through to Red London, I was like, there's no way. She's an Antari. Like, this is just the way the magic works. Like, you can't just go behind the magic's back and be like, oh, black magic is more powerful, so she got... No. Even though it was the purest form of magic, there's no way she's not an Antari. And then when we go to, you know, Kel's secret place where he got training and everything to save Rye's life, poor Rye, I love him. He's just one of those bad boys that you learn to love because he's so quirky and cute, and I love that he has a good heart. But anyway, and then when the master, I forgot his name, it starts with a T, but he wasn't that significant character in the story, so I don't remember him as well. But when he automatically spotted that she had a glass eye, I just really believe that she was an Antari, and, you know, maybe her parents, you know, popped out her eye to like save her, because obviously we see what happened to Kel. You know, he was taken from his family, his memory was stripped, and he basically became a pawn in this game between the rulers of different Londons. And so maybe her parents wanted to save her from that, and so that's why she has the glass eye. But I truly believe that she is an Antari, so I'm super excited for A Gathering of Shadows just to learn more about Delilah. I just feel like through the whole thing I just was so confused and just, I don't know. I love that Kel prevailed in the end and that Rye got to live, and I thought it was interesting about the black magic, how he became a person inside his body. So I really want to discover what happened to Black London and what's going on, because, you know, they say it never was actually destroyed. They just kind of sealed off the doors. So obviously something is still going on in Black London. And Holland, who was barely breathing, was, you know, shoved into Black London. So hopefully later in A Gathering of Shadows, we'll get to see what happens to Holland and what Black London is about. I don't know. I just feel like this wasn't a complete story, and I thought it was going to be a standalone. I mean, it was a complete story. You know, the corruption happened. They won. Kel defeated the evil white, you know, rulers from, not white rulers, but rulers from White London. Sorry, I am not a racist. But, yeah, you know, he defeated them, but I just feel like none of my questions are answered, so maybe this review isn't a full review and we'll have to wait till I finish reading A Gathering of Shadows to fully talk about it. But yeah, those are just my current feels. I don't know if you guys felt the same way. I know a lot of people are obsessed with these books, and I see, you know, everyone's obsessed with them, and I do love the characters. Like, I do love Delilah, or Lila. Like, she's amazing. I'm obsessed with her, but she's the only person I'm obsessed with, you know. I like Kel. I like Rye. I thought Holland was a very interesting character, and I'm excited to see what he's like without his soul seal and no longer being controlled by Astrid and Athos, because, you know, he was still barely breathing, so he's still alive, and now the people who have the soul seal with him are dead, so they can no longer control him, and now he's in Black London. So I'm excited to see what his personality is really like and what his real motivations are. But again, we don't get those answers until the next book, so I just feel like my review is incomplete, so I'm sorry. That's all I have to say today about A Darker Shade of Magic. But thank you so much for watching. Let's start some conversation in the comments. You know, I want to talk about it. How did you guys feel when you were reading it? I just fell off reading it. I don't know. I just needed more. So if you guys feel the same way, if you feel differently, you know, let's talk about it. Let's chat. I'm excited, and that is it. So thank you guys for watching. I'll talk to you guys in my next video, and peace out.